Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. My name is Mark Roden, and in today's video we are going to be doing the good, the bad, and the ugly on the Audi A4/S4 B5. If you guys know what that is, it's the first generation of the Audi A4 S4 line. It's, in my opinion, one of the most beautiful of them. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. So simple, just you know, perfect. And so, you know, that's what the car is. Now, I usually read off the script for this part, so bear with me here. The way these vids work is first I go over everything that you need to know, then how it does in certain forms of motorsports, or just what the community does with it in general. Then I go over the good, the bad, and ugly. Good is just things that are good about it. Bad are kind of like take it or leave it type of things. If it affects you, it affects you. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And ugly are just problems with the car that everybody's going to experience one way or another, and they're big problems you're going to have to address. And then I give my final thoughts and opinions on whether or not I think you should get it, depending on the current situation that you are in. I have things like daily driver, car guy daily driver, project car, or Sunday cruiser. Those are the 4 options I have for you. Obviously, there are a couple more situations that people are going to be in, but I think those are the most broad ones, so I put those in there. Also, song of the day is a song by the man named Jalen Santoy called Foreplay. Great song. It's not what you're gonna think it's like. It's not a song about actual foreplay. It's just a song. It's a rap song. If you like rap music, go listen to it. If you don't listen to it. But without further ado, let's go right into the list. It's not a list. Let's talk about the good, bad, and ugly of the Audi A4. Alright, so as we talked about in the intro a little bit there, the Audi A4 B5 is the first generation. It was built from the years 1995 to 2001 of the A4/S4 family. The trim levels, it's kind of long, kind of weird, but here's how it works. The A4 came with a 1.8 liter turbo inline 4 making 150 horsepower at its peak, or a 2.8 liter V6 making 172 horsepower at its peak. There are a lot of different little like yearly changes to these cars, but they're not a whole different trim level, so I didn't include those. But just, you know, if you are going to buy one, just look up that specific year and see what it has versus the other years, just to be sure. The S4, however, came with a 2.7 liter twin turbocharged V6 making a nice 261 horsepower, and then the RS4 came with the same motor, a 2.7 liter twin turbo V6, but now it was making a whopping 376 horsepower. In 1995, by the way, guys. That's freaking crazy. Also, there is the Avant trim, I guess you could call it, but all that means is that it's a wagon. So if it says Avant, it's just a wagon. I don't know why I stopped recording there, because I still have to talk about this car a little bit. The body styles of it are a sedan or a wagon. No, there is not a coupe version of this car. The drivetrains are front-wheel drive, unless it says Quattro, then it's all-wheel drive. The S4 and RS4, however, are always all-wheel drive. There is no front-wheel drive versions of those cars. The transmissions, they are available as a manual or an automatic. Get the manual, though. It's a 1995 automatic. It's going to take you about 5 years to shift gears, buddy. The price is, obviously, they're used, and they're around, I would say, like 1,000 up to, like, for an A4, 1,000 to 5,000. I would say, like, that's a good price to pay for an A4. For an S4, it freaking fluctuates like crazy. It's just all over the place. I've seen them up to 25K. I've seen them all the way down at like 7K. It's all over. The RS4 is stupidly expensive. Reliability and gas mileage. The A4 is very reliable. S4, not so much. Especially not the RS4. The twin turbo V6 in the 90s. I mean, you're just asking for trouble. Gas mileage is 22 miles per gallon combined, which is very average. You know, it's not great. And that's the A4, by the way, not the S4. The S4 gets a little bit worse gas mileage, but yeah, very average, 22 miles per gallon combined, not that great. But now let's get into the motorsports size of things and what people tend to do with these cars when modifying them, when they start to put their little grubby little hands on it. Drifting. Not used often because they're all-wheel drive or front-wheel drive. They're not rear-wheel drive. As we all know, rear-wheel drive cars are typically drift cars. You're not drifting front-wheel drive, and you can drift all-wheel drive, but it's not that common. Rally/off-road is used quite a bit. After all, it is an Audi, and it's got that Quattro. Quattro's like the best all-wheel drive system of all time. Look at the S1 E2. Streets, definitely the most popular. These motors love power. People have done quad turbo builds with them before. Definitely do not think they're just a grandma car. If an Audi A4 or S4 B5 pulls up on you and it's got some thick freaking tires, run away. That thing's gonna gap you, because these cars are tuners' dreams, okay? Street racing with these cars is like freaking pooping while using your phone. It just goes together perfectly. For track racing, they're also seen quite a bit here as well. There actually used to be DTM machines back in the day. They used to be freaking crazy at DTM, so it's no wonder people still take them to the track. They just are a good little handling little sports car. And obviously for stance / show builds, you know, lookers, they're seen for sure, but not as much as you would think. People kind of they're not flashy enough to be turned into like a stance car, I would say, so people don't really do it that much. Alright, but now we're into the good, the bad, and the ugly. And again, the way that this works is first I go over the good, which are things that are great about the car, you can't deny are good things about it. Then I go over the bad, which are problems that you're going to have with the car for sure, but it only really matters depending on the person that you are, so it's kind of up to you if it affects you or not. And then uglies, which are problems that are going to be on the car and you're going to have to address, and you have to keep in mind when going to buy the car. First up, for good, is they're dirt cheap, no matter which one you get. Even, yes, an Audi S4, even though they are, S4 B5s are costing upwards of $10,000 nowadays, which is a little bit expensive, you still gotta think about what you're getting. You know, you're getting a 90s Audi with 250 plus horsepower, all-wheel drive, and it's only going to go up in price. Yes, it's expensive out the gate, but you're going to make your money back, and you're going to have a ton of fun with it anyway. And the A4s are even cheaper than that. The A4 is quite reliable. That's the next point. Very reliable car. Next is it has tons of aftermarket support. These cars are, again, like I said before, are tuner's dreams. Every company makes parts for them. Next is they actually have some pretty decent cup holders. Now, obviously, you know, you're not fitting your Arizona iced tea in them because freaking everything is big nowadays, so we have to have bigger cup holders. It's so weird. You kind of like think about that, you know, like how everything is getting bigger and bigger and bigger as we go on, and you can literally see it by the most like simple thing, you know, a cup holder like my cup holder in my Integra can't hold today's bottles. It can't hold today's McDonald's cups. It can't hold today's Arizona iced teas. It can't hold today's Powerades or anything like that, because it was meant for smaller cans, which is interesting. But anyway, the next thing is there's lots of space if you get the Avant. It's a wagon, okay? Next is all-wheel drive. Okay, and not just all-wheel drive, but the best all-wheel drive system in the world. Now, obviously, that's, you know, open to arguments for sure. There, a lot of people are going to say that it's not, but I think it is. And finally, for the good, is they're simple yet classy. It has a perfect combination. It has like the interior of a 2000s car, which isn't over the top, but also it's an Audi, so it's got an interior that's a lot better than the other 2000s cars. And so it's just kind of perfect, man. It fits the right bill. I like them. Alright, but now we're into the bad, which again are things that are kind of take it or leave it. If it affects you, then that could be an issue, but if it doesn't, then just who cares? First off is the sound. I always put the sound in the first slot of the bad to give people their own opinions on it. So here's a clip of an A4 with the 1.8T. Keep in mind, obviously, if you get a different car, it's gonna sound different. Next, for the bad, is front-wheel drive on most A4 models. That's just not good enough. You're going to need the all-wheel drive, and if you don't want the all-wheel drive, trust me, you're going to want the all-wheel drive. Next is there's really not that much tuning potential on the naturally aspirated V6. Now, the S4's twin-turbo V6 and our S4's twin-turbo V6 are good motors for tuning. The normal A4's 1.8T is the same motor that came in the Mark IV GTI, and we all know that's a great motor for tuning as well, but the naturally aspirated V6 is just not. Next is the car could definitely look a bit boring to some people. Not me, but some people. Next is these things are an absolute pain to work on. Besides the 1.8T, the 1.8T could be, you know, relatively easy, but anyone with the V6, good luck. Next is apparently a bunch of electronics have kind of pooped the bed at this point, which makes sense. It's a freaking 90s car, and it's a 90s over-the-top Audi too, so it's gonna have a lot of electronics in it. Next is the windshield and headlight washers barely work. Again, that's probably most likely due to old electronics at this point. It might not be that big of an issue, but it could be at the same time. And finally, for the bad, is they are old. Things like sunroof seals, buttons, relays, and sensors obviously have failed at this point, so if you do buy one, don't expect it to be in tip-top shape right out of the gate. You're gonna have to do some freaking, you know, some basic maintenance to this bad boy to get her back up and running. Now we're on to the ugly. Okay? The ugly. That's what the ugly is. There's 3 points, which is kind of a problem. Most of the cars in the good, bad, and uglies only have 1 or 2 ugly points on them, but this one does have 3, so, you know, strap on, you know. But first up is the reliability on the S4 kind of sucks. Almost everybody I know that knows about Audis loves the B5 S4, yet nobody buys them because they know eventually it's going to blow up, and cost them a bunch of money, which is why prices are so low for the S4s. It kind of makes me sad, to be honest, because they are such a cool car. But yeah, they're very unreliable. Next is the automatic transmission is not only slow, but it's also incredibly unreliable. Tons of leaks from different areas, a bunch of clogs, and other things that just commonly go wrong with the auto transmission. It isn't that hard to find a manual though, so go that route. Just do not get the auto if you're getting an A4B5. Don't. It's just pointless. It's slower, it's more unreliable, it's stupid. And finally, for the ugly, is there's definitely something wrong with the fuel pump in these cars. Lots of reports of fuel pump issues and the car not starting after being fully filled with gas, and a bunch of weird things that all point to the fuel pump or maybe even fuel tank giving the car issues. It doesn't flat out say that on the website that I was looking at for like common problems with these cars, but all of them were surrounding like fuel delivery and all that kind of stuff, and it all kind of just went back to the fuel pump, so I kind of made that assumption. That's a problem for sure. You know, fuel pumps could be easy to fix. They could be hard. It all depends. And since it's an Audi A4, it's probably going to be a pain. All right, but now let's give you my final thoughts on this car. Do I think you should buy it? Well, let me tell you. If you are looking for a daily driver, yes, I think the A4 is a great option for a daily, especially since they're so cheap, but the S4, not at all. But if you are going to get one as a daily, make sure you get a 1.8T with a manual transmission. If you get a V6 with an automatic, you're looking for trouble. As a car guy daily, again, a great option if you're a car guy as well, but again, not the S4. It's just too unreliable. I know car guys know how to fix stuff, but you're not going to want to fix it as much as you will have to. Next is a Sunday Cruiser. Very good option, but only if you get the S4. The A4 is reliable enough to drive it every day, and so there's really no point in having it as just a Sunday Cruiser, but the S4 is a different story. It's unreliable, so you're going to want to, keep it in the garage until the weekend comes. Race car / project car guys, this is by far the best circumstance for this car. The unreliability of the S4 means it will be in the shop anyways, but now you get the great tuning potential of the car for a very low price as well. So go build that sleeper. Go build the freaking race car that you always wanted to build. As we all know, people don't race their race cars every other day anyway, so you have the time to fix it when you have to. It's a perfect combination of everything. It's cheap, it's fun, it's lightweight, it's got a great tuning motor in it, it looks cool, it handles great, everything about it is awesome for racing. But sadly, just for the daily driver guys, stick to the A4. For the racing guys or the Sunday Cruiser guys, go with the S4. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more content just like this. Let me know what other videos that you'd like to see in the comment section down below. Also, a lot of people have been recently commenting on my good, bad, and uglies, and they don't seem to understand that not only can I make some mistakes in some of my videos, but if you do own a car that I've talked about in these good, bad, and uglies, and you don't experience a problem that the car typically has, that doesn't mean that the car doesn't have that problem. It just means that you didn't experience that problem. When I make these videos, I don't just go off of like my ideas of the car. I look up, actual owners' guides on them and what people are saying. I watch videos on them. I do a bunch of research because I find that fun. I enjoy watching videos of cars that I like. I like the A4 or B5. So I watch videos on other owners and they tell you, what they experience. And if a bunch of owners are saying the same thing, then chances are that's a problem. And if it's something small like the cup holders or like something like freaking, let's see here, the windshield and headlight washers barely working. If it's something small like that and only one person includes it in their video, then I just throw it in because it's not that big a deal, even if I do get it wrong and it is just that one guy that experienced that problem, it's something small anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, if I, say something in my videos on a good, bad, and ugly, it's not like I'm just going, unless I personally say like I personally think, it's not just like I'm going off my opinion. I'm usually basing it off of something that I read online from an owner of the car. So I hope you guys understand that. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. Let me know what other car you want to see a good, bad, and ugly on. Das Vidania, and have a nice night.